Hey, everybody, welcome back to Conversations in Ken's Cafe. We've got an amazing guest, and he's blowing bubbles already. Rick, you're with Let's Be Budz, and Andy Lopez and I were on a couple of weeks ago. I know you have Luna Whitcomb coming on tomorrow on your show. So, guys, you're going to want to check that out. But, Rick, you had me on your show. We were talking about all kinds of different stuff and organics. But that's not really who you are. So tell us, who the heck is Rick?
Hey, Ken, I apologize. Okay, what's going on here is, and you warned me. I gotta figure out how to turn off my sound here. Okay. No, I turned it down. But it's okay. Is that it?
Okay, I can hear you fine. I don't have any echoes.
Oh, okay. You don't have any echoes? Okay, well
No.
then I'm just gonna try. Okay, I'm gonna do one more thing. Okay, how's that? There we
It's
go.
on my side.
Okay. Sorry, I had feedback going in through my YouTube there, and you warned me. Good to see you, Ken. Can you repeat that question, please? Great to
Well,
see you, Josh. Haas Farms, I'll be growing. Good to see everybody.
well, basically, the people on my channel, because guys, we're simulcasting to both. It's all about the biology channel and Let's Be Budz channel. So I want the people on my channel to know who Rick is. I was mentioning that I've been on your channel and I have you now on my channel, but I want you to tell us, who is Rick?
Oh boy, that's a deep question. I'll tell you. Well, I don't know if we even want to. We won't have enough time to answer that one, but uh, who am I? I'm a pot lover. I've consumed and grown. Well, I've consumed just about all my life. Probably grown for more than half of my life. Yeah, just about half my life, and learned to appreciate it as time has gone by. And Other than that, I was introduced to this community about four or so years ago, and that's what I love to do now is communicate with this incredible community.
Well, and I think that's probably why you put together Let's Be Buds, and you're having, conversations every Wednesday, with different people and teaching people all kinds of different methodologies for growing now. You've got Josh from Yellow Skunk Farms on, who's using an organic system. You've got Spartan, who's been, on the organic side. And you're more of the traditional growing methodologies. But, and we were talking before the show how, you're not consuming like I do, because I have severe pain. I screwed up my back really bad. You're consuming more, because that, you want to enjoy the feeling in your head, the stone, as people would refer to it. But you realize at the same time it's also affecting your body in so many other ways. You're talking about sleep, appetite, and things like that. So when did you start realizing that it's not just about getting high, it's a medicine that you're consuming?
Hmm. Um, it took me a while. It took me a while before the light went on. Probably again just around the time that I met everybody in this community. I distinctly remember. I'm not gonna. Right here, buddy. Right here. I distinctly remember when cannabis became legal. Medical cannabis became legal
Mhm.
in Canada. I was the first one to figure out, okay, how am I going to get that license? And but again, it was only to as a source of revenue, if you will. And Where was I going with that one? Yeah. So even then, it was, I really, you know, didn't consider it medical. So what year was that? 2018? No, medical was in Canada, 2018. I can't
Something like
remember.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I know, like, I used to do a show with John Burfello,
Yeah.
and he was part of that original revolution of, getting medical, available to the Canadian people. And he's been around the world talking about it. And, it's when you have those severe injuries and you realize that cannabis can help that, you don't look at it as just getting high anymore. It's like, it's like, if I don't consume cannabis every day, I have to consume painkillers, a pharmaceutical that's extremely, extremely bad for my body, has tremendous side effects. Where with the cannabis, it's 100% natural, organic. It works with my body, my endocannabinoid system, the electrical system that is forming everything, doing everything in my body. And it's those cannabinoids that you're consuming right now that are, having different effects in your body. And like you mentioned sleep. Was that something that you had a problem with before, and you found a particular strain that helps you, or is it just any strain that helps you on that?
Um, okay, I want to answer that question specifically, but I want to go, okay, and to nutshell it. Hey, good to see you, Skunk. To nutshell that, I want to mention RSO. But going back to you asked me when I maybe found that aha moment that
Yeah.
it's actually a medicine was again after I met this community. I was introduced to a CBD strain at the time, and I'll always remember smoking that for the first time, and I also suffer from arthritis, and
Right.
I just all of that arthritis, that pain, it just went away, and I really then I thought a lot about. Well, I thought CBD, you weren't supposed to feel it, if you will, but and I have trouble putting sentences together when I get high, but that's okay. I don't feel like too much pressure here. But what I was thinking about was the fact that I didn't feel the pain was how do I say that? The fact, like that's what was making me high was the fact that I wasn't feeling the pain. If that makes any sense.
Actually, it does make a lot of sense. I know I had a friend when I was giving her some cannabis, and consuming it internally in pill form. And I looked at her. I said, "Well, are you in pain anymore?" And she just looked at me with awe in her face, going, "No, I I feel good." And that realization, that light in a person's eyes, was like, I don't hurt anymore.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So to get back to my sleeping disorders,
Mhm.
yeah, I sleep it's always been a struggle for me, and I used to take a sleeping pill for 20 years. I took that sleeping pill. And again, once after I met this community, and Russ actually introduced me to RSO, I started making my own, and right around the same time I started consuming RSO, I stopped taking that sleeping pill, and that's been again like over 4 years. That yeah, so I'm very grateful for that.
Well, and
Jake,
it's amazing. It's amazing how, changing, one thing, and like you switched to RSO, but it's some people, they stopped eating pizza and went to organic food, and they're getting a similar, response from their bodies. Switching to a plant-based medicine that's not chemically based, is so much better for our body because we're so much more in tune with it. Now, I did want to bring something up that somebody just said. When I first met Ken, he was unknowingly taking 1,000+ milligrams of Simpson oil. That's not necessarily too true because I was how I consume my cannabis is in a powdered form. I'm not mixing it with an oil, so it's not an oil-based form. But it's really funny because I did not realize that I was consuming as much THC as I was. I thought I was consuming more of a CBD of how I was, doing my extraction. But I found out very soon that I was taking huge doses of THC, and that's what was actually really helping with the pain. But that's just a funny point. Now, you make your own Rick Simpson. How do you make a Rick Simpson oil?
I start with the not just the leftover plant material, but all
Mhm.
the what do you want, and the popcorn and just about any part of the plant. And I put that in the freezer,
Right.
and then I take 95% food grade uh, alcohol and put that in the freezer. And then I take and I combine the two uh, to
Okay.
to form a tincture, and then I'll strain that, and I'll strain it, and then I'll have a tincture, and then I have a it's what's it called, the Ito what's that machine? It's designed to reclaim the alcohol. So
Okay.
so it just operates under vacuum
Mhm.
low heat and vacuum, and it draws all the alcohol out, and then I'm left with the Rick Simpson oil.
Fantastic. It makes it a lot simpler. And like I know a lot of people that are taking Rick Simpson, and I think he originally built it because of cancer in himself, if I remember correct, and I could be wrong. But he created an amazing, um, I guess, medicine. Although I don't want to use medicine because they get mad because we're not doctors. It's not a medicine, but it's a plant medicine that is truly helping people. And I kudos to what he has done in bringing it out and talking about it, and having other people use it and get rid of those problems in their bodies. And you're consuming right now, and it's having effects in your body that are amazing. Now, you are smoking, and there's so many different ways, guys, that you can take it. The Rick Simpson oil is one. The method I do, putting it in gel caps, is another. But doing the whole plant, and that's what you're creating when you're taking pretty much everything but the stalk from that plant to make your tincture. You're getting a complete, you know, uh, blast of all the cannabinoids that are available in that plant. And I think that's part of the reason why it works so well is it's more of a broad spectrum that, affects more of the body. So do you or have you looked at the endocannabinoid system and how that worked, Rick?
Um, to some degree,
Mhm.
I'm not really, like, I can't look at things too scientifically. It gets a little too confusing for me. Uh, but just when you were asking about that, it did remind me of something, and that was the. Have you seen the Netflix documentary? What's it called? Um, Weed the People.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, a really, really good documentary I highly recommend it, on Rick Simpson. But
Okay.
it in that, they said something very simple, and that is, if you take cancer cells and put them in a petri dish, and take cannabis oil
Yeah.
and put it in the same dish, it kills the fucking cancer.
Yeah.
Like that, that's just about as far as I want to I want to understand it. Uh, but as far as the endocannabinoid system, no, I know I know it's there,
Yeah.
and it helps that we consume to keep it balanced.
Yeah.
Why don't you give me your description of the endocannabinoid system?
Sure. It's the complete electrical system in your body, just like your house has an electrical system, and you go into the bedroom, you flip on the light. Well, when you consume cannabis, it's like you're doing that. You're flipping on that light for that particular wire that's running through your body. So, you talked about arthritis. Well, when you're consuming cannabis, the signals aren't going the way they're supposed to be, or when you're not consuming cannabis, they're not flowing properly. Where you consume cannabis and you're putting in that light switch and you're turning it on and getting rid of the pain. So the endocannabinoid system in our bodies, it's our muscles, our nervous system, our eyes, our ears, every part of our body is connected to that. So that's where the different modes of consumption, like you're smoking, you're bringing it through your lungs, where the Rick Simpson oil you could be ingesting, you could be doing it rectally, you can be just putting a cream on your body. Well, that's all affecting your endocannabinoid system, and it's doing it in different ways, because it may be coming through the skin, it may be coming through the liver, it may be coming through the lungs, but everything in our bodies is attached to that electrical system. And I think that's one of the easier ways to explain it, is just as an electrical system that runs everything in our bodies.
Right on, right on.
So let me ask you a question. Like, you have different people on your shows on a regular basis, and like I mentioned, tomorrow night you have Luna Whitcomb coming on, um, and you're going to be talking with her about what she's doing and how she's doing it. And she's an amazing young woman who's found a lot of valuable ways to help grow a cannabis plant. What are some of the other guests you've had on? Like, if I came to your channel not having a clue who the heck you guys were, who are some of the other guests that you've had on your channel, Rick?
I'd like to invite people from. I like to invite breeders.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's it's something that we started early on in the channel, is doing a seed giveaway, a seed pack giveaway each week,
Yeah.
and the thing that I really thought was, well, I think is so cool about it is, for so many years, like I never knew, I never knew where. Well, I knew they came from a seed, but I've just it was always clones for me, but when I got to again, when I'm learning more, and when since I've met this community, uh, I'm learning more and more and more, and then I became intrigued with seed breeding. Not that I would ever try it myself, but just like,
Yeah.
and very curious about, like, what inspired you to decide to take that particular strain and that together, and do what you did, and so on. And there was always obviously a reason or a purpose for it. And then we ended up getting actually, I saw Haas Farms earlier in chat. And if I start naming names, then I'm going to forget too many. But he was so generous right at the beginning of our at the very near beginning of our channel, he sent us quite an assortment, and so that's what inspired our weekly giveaway.
Cool.
Um, but okay, I just came back to it again. So there's not only that inspiration, but also the sharing part. And I know that love was put into those seeds, and those seeds they're living. They're actually
Yeah.
living, and to take something like that and gift it to somebody else in the community, I thought was fucking cool, and we've been doing it ever since. So, but I certainly can't remember the original question.
Well, I was asking
The channel.
who you had. Yeah, who you had on your
Oh,
channel.
okay. Okay, so we like to invite seed breeders, uh, and then like to invite people from obviously from our community, and then a little name dropping. We have had Tommy Chong on the show, so
Yeah.
there's my name drop. But so in addition to that. Yeah, breeders and now I'm dipping my toe in the water of organics. Since well, to be quite honest, it was, and I think I'm pretty sure I saw Josh earlier
Yeah. Yeah, he was
in
on
chat,
earlier. Yeah.
and the first time I saw him, what he's doing, I went, "Oh my god!" And I thought this is cool, and so I forget. Yeah, no, obviously I must have invited him as a guest, and okay, they're just and it's a little bit selfish of me because I always go back to our chat and you say, "Hey, who would you like to have on the show?" Or my my colleagues on the show. Who do you like to have on the show? Let's Uh, but I guess what happens, quite honestly, is you end up seeing the people that I want on the show. Because if nobody else is going to be invited, wanting to invite people on the show, then it's going to be me that's going to be inviting them.
Yeah.
So, why did I bring that up? Why did I bring that up? Hey, Jeff.
You're
Uh,
going about guests and how Josh and how the show is
oh, thank,
progressed.
thank you. Yeah. So, Josh, he really got me going. Wow, this is unbelievable. So then I invited him to be a
Host.
host on the show. Yeah, yeah. And then he in turn said, okay, well then we can invite so and so. Now Russ Spartan has always been in my corner when it comes to organics. The man is incredibly knowledgeable. But hey, good to see you, Chris. But uh, when Josh decided to come on board, I was even more or less intimidated to invite people like yourself and Luna and OK Calix and to the show. So that's the direction we're going now, and unless people say, hey, no more organics or no more breeders or no more so it's kind of sort of like the people that I want to see on the show. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, yeah, and yeah, items of interest. We're big supporters of the Last Prisoner Project, so we brought on many constituents in the past. Right now, as a matter of fact, Andrew and Steve D'Angelo. They're pursuing another. Oh darn it! Maybe somebody in chat can help me, or we were just talking about it last night. They're one plant. They're putting together a group, organizing a group to basically try to get everybody. We've been fighting civil war long enough, and if we don't get our shit together, it's going to get a lot worse. Uh,
Yeah.
if this hemp thing goes through next year, well, uh, I don't even want to go. So yeah, basically their group is wanting to inspire people to, let's see if we can work together on this whole thing. And
So
anyways, yeah, so there's
they're
somebody that I'm interested in. So
yeah.
I reached out to Steve, and they've both been on the show before, but I want to get them out in their capacity to explain what their initiative is all about. So yeah, that's kind of people we invite.
Cool. Now let's talk about that a little bit, because there's some new laws that they're trying to push through. Now, this is in Canada, or is this a U.S. thing, or is it both? Or tell us a little bit about this, Rick, if you can.
Yeah, so it's U.S. It's U.S. I'm just scrambling here to see if I can find something on it. Um, it just came up in my Instagram feed the other day, and of course, if I go looking for it, I'll never find it. Even if I could remember the name of it, that might help. Uh,
Well, maybe
one,
you need to pass these people on to me, and I'll have them on my show as well. So, because the more people that learn, the better it's going to be. But they're trying to change the laws so it's not as beneficial for us as individuals.
now you're talking about this hemp cannabis bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It they've given absolutely zero thought to the whole thing. Like they've basically they'll decimate an entire industry. I don't know how they're going to work their way out of this one.
Well, and that's where I'd like to have the guys on the to talk and give us, like you're going to have them on your channel, to really
Well,
go into more depth. I'd love to have them on our channel as well.
yeah, yeah. I just sent them an email yesterday, so they haven't said yes yet. So
They will. Okay, I
I'm
know they will, because the more exposure, there's an old saying, even bad press is good press, because you get your name out there, you get the idea out there, and that's something that everybody wants to do. That's why I keep having people reaching out to me that have written books, etc., because they want to get the knowledge out there that they've done this. But it really is crazy how the governments and the powers that be have manipulated the cannabis and the hemp from way back in the day. People don't understand that the Boston Tea Party had nothing to do with tea. It was all to do with hemp, because the military of the day was sailing ships. They needed the hemp for rope, for clothes, for sails, etc., because it was made into fabric. And they wanted to change to cotton, and that's where there was the fight over that, and that's where we lost hemp for our animals, even because our animals used to eat hemp and get the endocannabinoids into their bodies, then we consumed their bodies and got into ours. So really, somebody shut the switch off on the endocannabinoid system, where it came into the cannabis and those types of material in a plant. But that's going a little off on topic, Rick. But
well.
you go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. You just got me thinking, or this new proposed bill has really got me thinking a lot more about hemp. Uh, it's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and like all of the goodness that can come from hemp. Uh, well, not only CBD, but like you were talking about sails and ropes and concrete, and there's so many cool things that can come, and they're going to say nope, can't have any of that. None of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just wrong. Like it's like saying, oh, well, that orange that you're growing, oh, it's good for you, so you can't have that anymore. We're going to regulate it. And they've done this, in history. They've tried to get supplementation like vitamin C, where you can only get it, through a prescription through the doctor, which is absolutely ridiculous. But people don't have enough sense. They're too trapped in their own little bubble where they don't see the bigger picture. And unfortunately, the media does not talk about this stuff because of a lot of different reasons. But that's why we're here, Rick, and we're going to talk about this kind of stuff because it's beneficial to us as human beings and our planet in general. So I had probably a year and a half ago, I had a gentleman on that talked about the history of cannabis and how it literally moved across our planet and how the names all changed. And it's an amazing thing to realize that it started out, in one part of the planet and moved to a global scale, and then they quashed it on a global scale.
Yeah.
So, it's crazy that we've allowed them to do it, but we stand up, but only so far. And I think more of us need to stand up against what's going on. But for you, Rick, because in Canada, like we're both from Canada, it's legal in Canada to grow it, to consume it, to share seeds, etc. But where do you think Canada is dropping the ball on this, or do you think Canada is dropping the ball?
Um, well, I'd like to start by answering that question, in that from what I've been led to believe with some of the okay, you've in Canada you've got the major growers, so they're the licensed producers. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
then there's another level after that. Are they called craft producers, or it's just a smaller license?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think primarily they were being they were could only sell to licensed producers. Since then, they've opened things up, and they're allowed to sell to retail stores. They also, well, every province is different, but they've also, where was I going with that? They're producing their own concentrates and so on. Uh, I've had a couple of people on licensed producers that are growing organically.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen when the whole thing came down originally, I thought, well, okay, well, they're just, they're producing crap. I guess what I'm getting at is a lot of these outfits are producing high quality cannabis now. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Um, um, I don't know I don't understand because I grow my own, so I don't understand that whole part of the system. So, um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Well, I think a lot of people, like I know in Alberta, the cannabis industry is basically crashed for the main part of it because of the taxes that have been put onto it, both federally and provincially. It's really hard, when you're paying an exorbitant amount of tax to grow a product, and it's interesting because a lot of Alberta has a lot of the craft growers. We don't have a lot of the mega growers, the big licensed producers. But one of the ones that we did have, I think it's Aurora, built a $33 billion or $1 million facility by the international airport in Edmonton, and then they couldn't pass any of their tests because like our cannabis is highly tested for heavy metals, etc. And they realized that the planes going over their facility and the exhaust from those planes was getting into the facility and giving them these heavy metals. They literally had to close that facility down. So there's a lot of people that got in for the money, built these huge facilities, and then they're crashing them because they don't have the love of the plant. Like the small craft growers, it's like a craft brewery, that makes beer. They're going to have a lot nicer product than Molson Canadian, who's doesn't even use barley and hemp anymore, or it doesn't use they use chemicals to make beer now. But when it's a craft brewery or a craft grower, we love our plants. Like Rick, you have your plants in the grow tent behind you, and you love those plants. That's your medicine. And it's also part of your soul. Like you said, the guy that gave you seeds, it was the love that he was sending out with those seeds. And that's part of the equation a lot of people miss, is the energy, frequency, and vibration we put out affects our plants and affects the growth of our plants. And when the craft grower goes in and produces something, they're in there with love. They're not in there with, this is just a 9-to-5 job. They're in there going, oh man, look at this plant, look at that bud, the leaves are praying and the plants are happy, because they love that plant and what it does. I think our craft growers are really producing at a level that most of these mega corporations would love to have. And I know some of them are. And, you have Josh on, who's growing organically using a horizontal soil system that Leighton Morrison has recommended. And he's put a creek in there. It's all full of living biology. And guys, if you guys want to check out a commercial growing in the horizontal system, you can check out Tom Landry. We've had him on multiple shows as a regular guest on our channel, who has a grow in Eastern Canada, commercial grow using horizontal soil beds. And he's having phenomenal results and creating a product that's at a different level. And that's where, Rick, when you're talking about, growing your own and putting that love in, you're getting that love back from that plant. But do you find it's meditative for you growing?
Oh, absolutely, 100%, 100%. Yeah, yeah. Every now and then, I catch myself staring. Yeah, that's for sure. No
Well,
question about that.
it's the old saying, sitting there watching the grass grow, right?
But getting back to something you asked me earlier about maybe some of the downsides of what's going on in Canada, and it was a while ago that GML had mentioned at the time he was selling to licensed producers,
Yeah.
and of course, before he shipped his product out, he had it tested for insecticides and microbials,
Right.
and then he sent it to the licensed producer. The licensed producer had it all irradiated, even
Oh,
knowing it passed. But I guess where I'm going with that is the consequences of getting caught with with insecticides or something in your product is is so bad that these people are irradiating their product before they sell it to you.
Well, and I know that's been happening a lot less in some areas because of the quality being grown. But yeah, that was a huge thing, and it's still a huge thing in Canada, where they're just automatically, irradiating it to get rid of any microbials that are in it. And it's, if you're making a Rick Simpson oil, if you're making, something that's ingestible where you're taking it into your body, you're just not getting the same out of that plant because you're not getting any of the biology. It's all been killed, and it's the biology that helps work with that plant, work with the molecules in that plant that is helping your body. So when you're irradiating it, sure, you might get the headstone by smoking it, but you're not getting all of the effects in your body that you really should be getting.
That's true. Ken, believe it or not, I found the website. Can I share
Cool.
this? Yeah, can I share
Yeah.
here?
Yes, you sure can.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes. I got another site where we play poker, and every now and then I'll go to share a screen, and I end up. I thought I could share the other poker table. I ended up sharing my own, so everybody can see my fucking cards. Well, do you think? Yeah, but do you think anybody says, "Hey, Rick"? No, they just sit there quietly until I finally figure it out.
That's really bad. Okay, hold on. It's just coming up now, Rick. I'll add it to the stage. There we go.
Yeah, so it's oneplantalliance.org, and they have the three principles that they're operating on are age verification, testing, and labeling. And but yeah, I just quickly perused this, but it looks like, yeah, that's what we're trying to do, is get people together to fight together against this type of legislation. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, there's good legislation and there's bad legislation, and most of the time it's whoever's got the bigger brown envelope, the bigger bag of cash is the one that gets their laws passed. That's how we lost hemp and cannabis in the first place. Is somebody petitioned the government to make hemp illegal, which put cannabis illegal. It's all about money and power and greed, and we're trying to get away from that. And Robert here says, we're talking about your poker channel. Come join us Thursday night poker night. Well, let's be buds and friends, and it's a good way to relax, talk shit, and puff. So maybe I'll have to come over on Thursday nights, because I actually used to be pretty good at playing poker.
Okay, yeah. We don't play for real money, but we just play for bragging rights. But have a lot of fun. And Captain's a regular at the tables there for sure.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
And it's the community. Like I have one thing that I bring up: is caring, sharing, and community. And it's that community, and it doesn't matter if it's a bunch of people, smoking weed around the table. It can be a bunch of people that are talking about, their vegetable garden and sharing tomatoes and lettuce and chickens and eggs and beef. That community, and finding people who are growing healthy commodities, so that you can consume that, is so important for you. Like, where you live, Rick, and where I live, we live in very small community areas, and we can get out into that community and interact and find the person that's growing, the best lettuce and tomatoes for our salad at home, or the best beef cattle, or somebody that's got the dairy goat where we can get goat's milk from. It's bringing that community together that's really going to help, and doing it globally like we do on this channel and on your channel, Rick. You have a global audience. I know we have people from Europe, South America, Australia. I'm sure you do as well. And it's, bringing that global community into understanding, like for your channel, more on the cannabis side. For this channel, it's all plants, all people, all animals, because we're all made up of cells, and that's all controlled by the biology. And bringing that into understanding, like, Rick, you are growing, etc., and you're feeding your plants a particular mix that you're creating, and trying to give your plants the building blocks that they need for health and vitality. And I'm not going to say that that's the best way. I'm not going to say that's the worst way, but it's definitely not as close to Mother Nature, how Mother Nature would do it. But it's like everything. It's, as we progress in life, we try new things. Like every new strain that you try, man, you go, okay, well, what's this going to do for me? And that's fantastic. It's how we need to learn and move forward. Would you think the same way, Rick?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when you are trying to pick what you're growing next, like I have only actually grown one main strain. I grew her for like 3.5 years. And it was one of those things that I found what worked for me, and I just kept doing it. So I was constantly cloning. But are you trying new strains all the time? Because like you deal with all these different seed breeders. Is that something that you're into, or have you found a strain that works best for you?
Yeah, no, at this, I'm still looking. And I do appreciate the variety. Um, maybe my endocannabinoid system. I guess we all our endocannabinoid systems are all different anyway.
Yeah.
As is maybe our tolerance levels. I personally, I've been blessed with a low tolerance level to THC. I can get high very easily, and I it's something that I don't, you know. I guess like that sleeping pill that I used to take, that like that I'm sure was addictive, and that in many cases what you have to do is you have to take more. You have to take a more dosage of the sleeping pill to get the same effect. Where I never did have to do that, and it's the same with the RSO. I don't really have to take more to get the same effect.
Yeah.
But again, where was I going with that?
The different strains and the
Oh,
different effects.
yeah, thank you. So I, what I'm looking for, I'm sure I'm going to find. If my preference is more sativa, uplifting, jittery, like what the fuck was that kind of that's what I like. And so I'm always looking for something a little bit more on the sativa-ish side, but then I'm just easy to please. And then another frustrating thing about myself is that I don't have a very good taste senses
Budz.
and
Yeah.
smell. So when I hear people And Josh is one of my favorites for telling me about what the scent that he's getting from the plant, and I'm going, wow, it must be nice to be able to smell all that because
Yep.
so I don't, when people talk about the smell, me personally, it's all about the effect, the smell, the taste, really. That's not who I am because I can't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I'm looking for that effect. You know.
Well, and I think that's a lot of people are looking for the result, and they're getting it from A, B, and C. But if you can find that one that just like uplifts you in the morning, and that one that lays you down at night and lets you relax and fall asleep,
Oh,
you know, those are amazing things. Like for me, I started growing because of pain, and I found a strain and a methodology that worked for me to stop that. And so that's where I really stopped. Like I built, my own press for pressing rosin. I've done pretty much all the different methods that you could extract and try. And I found that the easiest one was, the taking the whole plant, decarboxylating it, grinding it, and consuming it, orally through with gel caps. But I know that we never got to show this at all on your show, so I want to just bring it up here. It's just a couple of pictures of what I grew. And this is a top cola at 25 grams. And this is another one at 26 grams. And this is from my personal grow. There's a bunch of colas, and you can see I have a screen. I was catching trichomes that were falling off. But I just wanted to show people that you can grow some amazing plants just by giving yourself some time. Like this is 8 foot tall, 8 foot wide, and I had to crawl underneath to get to the other side of her. That's the one that produced that 26-gram cola. Like there it is right there, without it being dried. You see the length of it. But
what strain is that?
that was sour diesel.
Wow.
New York sour diesel. Like there's a video. That these are all top colas. Okay, because of how I was growing my plants. You can see the stem of one there. Let me just go through. I got all these videos, but let's see, just some sizes. But those, you can see I had built my own scrogging using binder twine. So I'm an old country boy, an old farm boy, so I used what I had. But you can see those the sugar on those leaves and on those buds, and I was spreading them out, so bending them over the top, so I only had so much height, but allowing the lowers to come up and grow into more of a top cola constantly. And that's how I was getting some absolutely amazing cannabis to grow in an old Atlas Van Lines trailer. It was crazy.
How it looked like you vegged that for quite a while.
Yeah, I was doing a longer veg because I was trying to. Let me just show this again. You guys can see, this is all basically top colas all the way through. But yeah, I was letting them come up to a much larger size and then flowering them out. that one of the first pictures I showed with that huge girl, you could see the size of what I was doing. Here's a shot of my veg, and this is just under normal, fluorescent lights, but you can see how tall these plants were.
Yeah.
And by doing that, I was staking them out. Like you can see some stakes here where I was starting to train them, and I was trying to make a 4 foot wide by 4 foot wide, width and length, and then height. So I was getting more colas coming up and not having the popcorn on the bottom. And I found that I was getting a lot more material off of a plant just by allowing it to veg for 2, 3, or even 4 weeks longer while my grow was finishing off, or I was hanging to dry in my grow area. I was letting my plants veg out that much longer, and then I had larger plants. I had larger volume. It was a win-win for my particular situation.
Right on. I noticed. Did you have a blurple light going on in the background over there somewhere?
Yeah, I had actually a variety. I don't know if you can really see the lights. They're what's called a puck, and they're.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, let's see if you can see it better here. Those I had. I did everything DIY. I was literally at the point where I was going to order my own cob LEDs and build my own, lights. When I found a guy called Gromau, and just going back, before cannabis was legal in Canada, so quite a while back, I had my medical license, but he was putting these lights together, these pucks. And I just bought a bunch of pucks and bought the drivers and put it all together myself. I'm really DIY active, but it's like using the binder twine, right? And creating my own sea of green. But you can see a dehumidifier here in the background, everything that I tried to do. Like there's a bunch of clones that I had started. Let me see my cloning. I'm going to just pull it off the screen so I can find the picture I'm looking for.
And I need you to excuse me for a minute. I just spent, a fair amount of time rolling a beautiful joint. Then I dropped it, and it's driving me fucking crazy where that thing got to, so I'm gonna have to take a look around here.
Well, you go ahead and you do that.
Yeah.
I actually think I removed the pictures that I was looking for. Yeah, now you don't want to lose that, Rick.
No. A lot of effort went into that, man. How big was that? How big was that pot that you were growing in, that sour diesel?
Well, I did everything from 5 gallon up to, I would literally, you see this blue barrel, that's actually a compost bins or soil making bins that I put together.
Oh, nice.
But I would literally cut these in half, and that's what I was using as a pot.
Okay.
You can, let me see if I can find a better image.
Another DIY project. So this would have been before what do you call it? The fabric pots.
Yeah. I used fabric pots that I just bought off of Amazon. just because of how they air prune. I don't know if you know much about air pruning, but the root in a fabric pot goes to the edge, and tries to grow out. The air will literally stop it from growing. It self prunes itself. So I learned that, and then like my growth of where I started to where I am now was kind of wild. As I learned, I improved on what I was doing. So I ended up creating, and actually the one picture that was showing the stem, of course, I'm trying to look at it here, but it was a progression in knowledge where I was trying to, and I can't remember the name of the pot, but they're one that Kevin Jodrey had shown on one of his videos, and it was basically he had saved a mother that was in desperate need. She was having major issues, and so he had saved her by using a particular type of pot that was a wicking pot. It was wicking the moisture up from the bottom, and so I looked at doing that. And here's a good picture. Where there it is, where you can see the barrel down here. This is a full-size tote. And so I was growing one plant in that tote, one plant in one of these barrels. So this is a 55-gallon drum cut in half.
Okay.
And then you see the white tube. This was actually going down in the bottom, and you saw the funnel. I was watering from the bottom. So I would put the funnel in there, and I'd pour water down into a reservoir underneath, only to a certain height, and then it would literally drain off. I don't know if I'm showing. Can't really get right here. Let me get in a little bit closer. This is a tube with a line on it. And that point, I knew I was getting into my soil. Below there, it was actually an empty void that I created. And there was only two spots where there was soil going down to the bottom, and those were basically my wicking spots. So I would, pour water in until I came up to this level, and then I would stop. And I was, some of these pots were literally sucking up 5 gallons plus in a single day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy the amount of moisture that these plants were using, but it's all, moving forward and learning and absorbing more. Like when I started, I had no real, concept of the biology behind all of this. I learned that, when I started watching Leighton Morrison on the Future Cannabis Project and learning, and then, learning from Dr. Elaine Ingham, Dr. Gerald Pollock, Dr. James White, all these people talking about, how things were growing. And that's where I came up with it's all about the biology, because I like to know the why. Why does it work that way, Rick? Why, when you do this, does this happen? And so I took it down into, every cell that creates your plant needs, it needs the 2x4s for the construction. It needs the electrical. It needs the plumbing. Well, okay, that's a single cell, and, a million or billion cells make up a cannabis plant. So who controls that? Who controls how that cell is built? And that's where I found that it's literally the biology, that microbiology going down into the quantum biology, which we can only recognize by electrical, communication that the electron microscopes are seeing, that to know that there's life at that level. that's so deep that we think we know we're everything. We're the top species on this planet, yet we can barely read DNA, where biology not only reads it, creates new and varying cells from it, encodes it into every single cell in our body. We can't do that, but the biology does it every moment of every day.
How true, and it really is amazing. Um, Josh inspired me so much to go down these rabbit holes. But I remember a while back he had some worm casting, just a little pile of worm castings in his hands and
Yeah.
in his hand, and he said, "There's more living biology going on right there than all the human beings on the face of the planet."
Yep.
And I went, "Oh my God!" And so I took that stunning bit of information back to we were having a show meeting, and I mentioned it to Spartan and Emily and Dave and
Yep.
Josh, or no, Josh wasn't there at the time. And I said, "Yeah, Josh told me this." And then Russ said, "Well, yeah, but did you know that there's more living cells going on in your body compared to all the?" And then he blew my mind by comparing it to something else, and I'm going, "Oh, geez, this is too much, too much."
Oh, more than the grains of sand across our planet, right? It's
Yeah, but also he was saying too that as far as we are looking further and further out into space, we're also uh, through microscopes looking further and further into
yeah.
the cell development and so on, and the relative distance between a proton and a neutron
Mhm.
relative to the distance in stars and the planet, that's actually greater.
Yep.
So there's a lot of cool stuff going on there.
Well, you think that, the science is saying we're living in, I think it's 17 different dimensions at the same time. Well, that goes into the quantum area, that quantum biology. How do we know that, they have each cell is its own literal universe that exists in a different reality than we do?
Oh,
Like
gee.
it's if we
Don't
allow ourselves to
don't
think that way.
don't go saying shit like that, Ken. And, hey, Emily, good to see you. Galaxy Solutions, great to see you guys. Um, but I wanted to. Yeah. I made a post about tomorrow night,
Okay,
and
yeah.
somebody, somebody made a post. Watch, watch Rick's mind being blown tomorrow night from the when Luna starts laying down the information. So we'll
Yeah.
have to see. It's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
Luna, she has an amazing mind, and she's tried a lot of different things, and she watches her plant reactions. You
Uh-huh.
know,
Yeah, I've been trying to do some catch up on some of her projects, and yeah,
yeah,
she's into a lot of experimenting and comparisons, and yeah,
yeah.
very cool.
Well, the
Very
amino
cool.
acids that she is creating from her fermentation processes, and it really comes down to, she's adding these. The plants make them themselves, right? But by adding them, you're allowing the plant to not have to put out the energy through its own system to have this available for new cell division. So you're saving. It's like having the maid come in to clean your house. You don't have, you can sit back on the couch and go, oh, That was nice. My house is nice and clean. I didn't have to do a damn thing. And
Are
that's
you
why.
kidding? I usually I spend the day before cleaning the fucking house before she gets here. That's yeah.
Ah, Rick, that's bad. My
Well,
wife would do the same freaking thing. Okay, but yeah, it's about what they call ATP, and that's the energy that is necessary for the plant to make those uh, amino acids. It has to take so much energy to create that. So what Luna is doing is she's creating a lot of these to replicate, the necessary amino acids to foliarly spray or put in her soil because she uses soil, um, so that the plant doesn't have to expend that energy. It can focus more on, hey, trichome production, the stuff you want to smoke, right?
here, here. Yeah.
So, Rick,
Well,
we're over an hour. Do you want to keep going, or
well. I tell you, I do have a. Actually, I got a meeting with Luna at the top of the next hour there, so we can go for a little bit longer. Or have I? Have I? Is that it? um.
well, I don't want you to miss your meeting with Luna. But yeah, you have got another 45 minutes. So let's
Right
go
on.
at say another 15 minutes, and I'm gonna give Chris Guerrero a hard time. If you guys, I don't know, Chris, you're still doing your show every day, man? It's been so long since I've been on there. But Chris is an amazing guy. Has learned an awful lot. I started off on the Future Cannabis Project. That's where I originally found Leighton Morrison and learned so much um, about soil biology and growing organically. But Chris was always on there, and he says exactly he's still doing his daily. So, guys, if you haven't checked out Chris's show, check out Guerrero Grows, and give him a hard time for me. One of these days, I'll have to come back on without a shirt, Chris. I'll take my shirt off for you again. That's a story onto itself that we're not going to get into. But Rick, what are some of the other things that you guys talk about on your show? Like you're talking more organic, seed producers, seed giveaways, etc. I know you have monthly giveaways too. Maybe tell the audience, a little bit about your monthly giveaways and who's supporting you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, big shout out to Lost Coast Plant Therapy. I put that shit on everything. Yeah, Dirk has been a great supporter of the channel for quite some time now, and we really appreciate it. So maybe just to back up a little bit, maybe I might ask the question, like what inspired me to start the show, and I was let me back up again. No, the reason I started the show was not the reason why I wanted to in the first place, and I don't even want to go down that alley. I think maybe after I started the show, I maybe I realized then why I wanted to start the show, and I'm learning more and more is because of this community. As a matter of fact, no, there's no question why I started the channel. It's because of the community, a place to get together and have a good time. And that's something I did want to add earlier. We just came off our last prisoner project chatathon from the fourth year, a 12-hour fundraiser for the last prisoner project. And one thing that I did observe is that all the people, so many of the people that were there when we started 4 years ago, are still with us, and it's just a really good feeling.
Cool.
I'm not sure I answered your question. Yeah. Okay. So some of the things, yeah, once a month, we give away a bottle of a 32-ounce bottle of Lost Coast Plant Therapy.
Mhm.
Included with that is some merch, and then every now and about every 3-4 months, Dirk throws in a gallon bottle of Lost Coast Plant Therapy and a big array of merch. And in order to qualify for that, either you write a letter to a prisoner in prison, or write a letter to a legislator asking them their opinion on legalization or prison reform, or make a $5 donation to the Last Prisoner Project, and so that qualifies you for a duck in the race, and then you. If you win the race, then you win the prize.
Cool.
Boy, now I got to be corrected on this, but last week, because of the fundraiser, where we raised, I believe it was almost $700, which is doubled by sponsors, $1,400. There was a shit ton of ducks in that race, we do that. We do the seed giveaway. Normally, what we do, it depends on the guest and depends on their time and so on. We do a 2-hour show. In the first hour, we devote to our guest. In the second hour, we do a seed giveaway. We start off the show with a early bird draw for a duck in the race for the Lost Coast Plant Therapy,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, I know we had one of the guys from our channel, 4B Arrow, I think is his handle, win one of the ducks for the monthly race. So, it's amazing how we can all come together to help each other out on this stuff. And the Last Prisoner Project, sounds like something that it really can help a lot of people. Now, you're talking, a prisoner writing a letter to a prisoner. Do they have specific for, cannabis, people that are in for, cannabis related, or how does that work, Rick?
So if you go to the Last Prisoner Project website, they have, and by the way, they support people who have been convicted of nonviolent cannabis crimes. So they have a list of people who are in prison currently that they are constituents for. And so you can go to the website, and it's really, really simple. What I've done in the past is gone there and read the bios on some of these different people, and I came across one, and I went, there was something caught me about him, and I decided to write him, and that you can do a handwritten letter, or you can do one through the internet, through the email.
Okay.
And it's real simple and straightforward, we've met with so many constituents that have received letters in prison, and they all are overwhelmed by what it felt to receive a letter, especially from somebody you don't know. And in many cases, they still hold on to once they're still out of prison, they're still holding on to those letters. So really, really meaningful. Just telling people that, hey, because it's got to be confusing when you're in prison, knowing that in most states it's legal to consume and sell, and there I'm sitting here for so.
Well, and I think that like I've never spent a long time in jail. I got I was in, I think, for 12 or 14 hours because of a damn ticket I didn't pay. But I went into lock up, not just the small cells. So I went through the delousing, and the whole 9 yards. And yeah, you can see it in people's faces that, if they got a letter sent to them, it would mean a lot. It can touch your heart in ways, and change your entire outlook on life, to know somebody else out there has sent you that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We, we love you, and we're thinking about you, and we're fighting for you.
Yeah. And I think it's that fighting for them that really, can make a difference. And it's like anything, that you see as an injustice, that if you are on one side or the other of what you perceive that to be, if you're doing it from inside of a place of hope and love and caring, then it doesn't matter what side you're on. But you need to understand that there is two sides to every story. Because here's an interesting story on drunk driving, where a young cop pulled a guy over. He was drunk, and this is in the early 80s. That penalties weren't that bad back then. And the guy convinced him, okay, I only got a mile and a half from home. Let me just drive home, and I'll get off the road. And the cop said, okay, yeah, go ahead. Right? He was going to give him a break. Well, he sat in his car. The guy left. He was doing his paperwork. He started his car, started going down the road. The guy had flipped his car in the ditch and killed himself. That cop will never, ever give anybody a break if there's even a whiff of alcohol coming out of that person's vehicle. They're out of there doing a breathalyzer. And I would never blame that officer for having that attitude after what he lived through. So take it from your own experiences and make your own judgments on what's right and wrong for you, because it doesn't matter, Rick. It doesn't matter what you've done in your life. It doesn't matter what you've done to other people in your life, because when you go to the other side and you're facing, whoever you believe you're going to face, it has nothing to do with anybody else, what they've done, said. It's what you've done in your life that you're going to be looking back at and going, oh shit, man, I don't remember doing that. Okay. But people get involved in this. Oh, well, she said that, and they did this, and that doesn't matter. It's how you live your life and how you react to those things. So if you send that letter, put your own heart into it. And that's what Rick does every week on his show. He puts his heart into it. Don't you, Rick?
Here, 100%. And thank you for getting me back in a little bit of on track. I said that, I wanted to build a community, place where we can all hang out together. But I wanted to have fun. I want to have fun. We have the giveaways, and we have entertaining guests. But we've tried other. Whoa! Was I going to say stunts? No, they weren't stunts. Like 2 years ago, we did the 12 Days of Christmas. Oh my God, it was so much fun. It took us 12 days to do it. It was about a 15-minute clip, and it was a lot of fun. It was a shitload of fun. Where was I going with that? Oh, and then we tried another one. It was like Tic Tac Toe or Hollywood Square. Yeah, we tried a version of that. We're working on another one. Well, no, we're not working on it. It's just like it's a seed. It's in the embryo stage. And you're one of the first ones to hear it. It's going to be a takeoff on a Family Feud. It's going to be called Canna Feud, I believe is. I don't know if it's the official name. Oh, and something else I'm lining up as well is we want to do. We're calling this a Canadian Budz exchange. only available in Canada.
Yeah.
So what we're going to be doing, because it's legal for us to mail up to an ounce in Canada, I want to put a bunch of people who would like to exchange their cannabis together, and we're going to get that thing going too. So
Cool.
so we want to do things to have fun. Oh, just a quick shout out. We were talking earlier about Canadian uh, uh, producers. Well, a couple. Smoker Farms doing fantastic stuff over there in Canada, and Island Genetics as well. He grows organically.
Cool.
He's got some. He does some really quality stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is we've already talked about you having Luna on your show tomorrow night. Uh, so you guys can check out their show at the same time that they're doing their show. Andy and I are going to be
Mm.
going into chapter 11 in his book. Don't Panic, It's Organic. Don't Panic, It's Natural is the name of the chapter. So you guys can bounce back and forth. And then, of course, on Monday, we have the world premiere of The Muncher, Can the Biology Save Us? A documentary film by Amy Smythe coming up on Monday. So you guys can check that out. But Rick, thank you so much for coming and joining me. It was such a pleasure, being on your show, and now you're being on mine. I think we're going to have a couple of your other hosts that you have on. And if you guys are following Josh, Yellow Skunk Farms, he's been on with Leighton Morrison talking about his system. He's done a couple of shows with Leighton. So you can check those out on our channel. We were broadcasting to both the Let's Be Budz channel and to It's All About the Biology channel, Facebook, LinkedIn, X. Guys, comment, chat, share. Everything helps, and it's all about that community. But Rick, I'm going to give you the last word so you can say what you want, and then we'll end the broadcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Ken. It's been a pleasure getting to know you as well. And please put in a good word with Leighton for me. I want to reach out to see if we'll get him on our show as well. Chad, it's so good to see everybody. So many familiar faces in there, and we love you. And keep growing, I guess.
Peace out, everybody.